What I thought I'd do today is give you a tutorial which will hopefully go through lots of the basics in using SketchUp. SketchUp is a program for 3D modeling, and so if you like things like Minecraft or The Sims, or interested in architecture, furniture design, interior design and things like that, this will be a really useful tool for you to explore your ideas. Simply, if you go to Google and search for SketchUp, and then just go to the link SketchUp Free. Some of you that have been in my class before will be used to using the desktop application SketchUp. The online version is very much the same with most of the same tools. Some of them are just in a slightly different location. So as you come through to SketchUp Free, click Start Modeling. It will just take a second or two to load. What I'd suggest you do, first of all, is create a Trimble account. Okay, it will probably prompt you as you come in. I've already got one, but it should prompt you to create a Trimble account. It only takes 30 seconds and it's completely free to do. It just wants an email address and stuff to register you as a user. But what it enables you to do once you've got that account is to save your models online, also to be able to have access to the 3D warehouse, which we'll look at in another video, where you can download parts and other designs that other people have created, edit them or add them into your model. So once you've got your account created, all you need to do is go to Start Modeling. And this is your scene. This is your three-dimensional workspace to work in. If you just use your mouse or your trackpad on your computer, you should be able to just zoom in and out. It's worth, when you start using the program, just to have a little play with zooming in and out. Wherever you place your cursor on the screen is where you'll zoom into. So I'll move mine over to the right hand side and you see I'm zooming in over there. And if I move it over to the left, I'm zooming in there. Okay, in the center, move towards the figure in the center of the screen that gives it a bit of a sense of scale. Next, if you look on your toolbar on the left hand side, this tool at the bottom, you will use an awful lot. It is the Orbit tool. Okay, so if you just click on that, you can then click and drag and you can move around the scene. You can go below the workspace or above it. And you will want to get used to zooming in and out and navigating around. So just get used to using this three-dimensional space. If you've got a three-wheeled mouse, or three-button mouse, sorry, with a wheel in the center, you can click and hold that and you should be able to use it. So I'm just using a three-wheeled mouse. I can click and hold. But if you're just using kind of the trackpad and things on your laptop, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry, you're at no real disadvantage there. What I thought we'd do today is to design a house, just quite a basic house, and going through all of the skills of that should help you get the basics of SketchUp and learn some of the things that you can do and some of its limitations. But it is an incredible bit of software, really easy to use. As we go through the video, what I'd suggest you do is pause it at relevant times. If you just watch it all in one go, try and take it in, you'll probably forget some of the tools and where they are located. So what I'd suggest you do is find some opportunities to pause it and then go into your own SketchUp model and try and follow it as a tutorial like that. But for the meantime, I'll just keep going. So in the toolbar on the left hand side, halfway down, we've got our kind of shapes. The one on the top here is the rectangle, but if I click on it, you'll see we've got a range of other shapes below there. We're going to start with the rectangle, and I'm just going to simply draw the sort of base of a house on the bottom surface like so. Okay, and once you've drawn it, it should fill in grey with the center, and that's to say it's a kind of surface that we can work with. What you might find is if you're at a really low angle when you draw it, it might be incredibly long. So if I move around the top here, you can see that my building is probably actually a bit deeper than I intended it to. So when we're trying to draw something on the bottom plane, it's worth navigating around onto the top view of it so you can really see how deep it is. But for the time being, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to show you how you can adjust it in a moment. Next, we're going to have a look at the push-pull tool. The push-pull tool allows us to click on a surface that we've created and pull it up into a three-dimensional object. So I can navigate around this like so. I'm going to navigate around to the back side because I think I've made mine a little bit too deep. So I'm just going to click on that face and I can push it and adjust it. Something like that feels about right for a 2-story building. You can of course make it a little bit wider, a little bit taller, whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to keep mine something like that. The next tool we're going to have a look at is just the line tool, and it's this pencil symbol here on the left hand side. This allows you to draw lots of custom shapes into your design, so not just using the kind of preset square, circle, so on. This allows us to draw more kind of custom forms, but it also enables us to draw kind of construction lines and lines to fill in areas. What you will find is it likes to snap to certain locations, so it likes to snap to the corners. So if I'm hovering over here, it will snap over to those edges, but it also likes to snap to the middle of the line, and that's what we want to do now. So I'm going to snap it to the center, going to click, and I'm going to draw a line up. As I hope you can see, my line is blue, and it's coming up with saying on the blue axis. We can see this is the blue axis here, so all it means is our line is going up really nice and straight, and it tries to snap to that. Often, if you draw a line and it's black like so, even though you might think it's straight, just click off that. You might find it's going in a completely different direction to what you want to. If you make a mistake, down the bottom left hand corner here, there's a back button, so you can just click undo. And if you undo too far, you can redo with the button facing to the right. So I'm just going to undo that now. I'm going to go to my line tool again, click in the center there and draw up. It's then going to carry on drawing, so that's all good. And I'm going to draw to this corner here, and I'm going to draw another line from there to there. So we're starting to see how we're getting a bit of a house shape coming in. I'm now going to go to my eraser tool, and I'm just going to take that central line out. So we've got all one big face here. We've got 2 different faces, and we've got this one as a whole section like so. I'm going to go back to my push and pull tool, and I'm going to push this out to create a roof like so. What can be quite hard when you're at this angle is trying to line it up perfectly, trying to get it just right. So if when you're clicking and holding and pushing it, if you just draw and your push-pull tool will snap to, if you've got a line on that edge, it should snap there. So when you navigate around, you've pushed it exactly as far as it needs to go. All right, and it's not extending over. Next, we're going to try and put a bit of a roof on our design. Okay, so whilst we've got our kind of roof here, I'd like my roof, like a normal house, to stick out slightly beyond the edges and the walls. So if it were to rain, it will keep that water from running down the walls of your house. So to do that, we're just going to go underneath the push-pull tool, and we're going to go to this tool at the bottom here. It's the offset tool. So if you hover your cursor over any of these buttons, it should come up and show you what the tool title is. So this is the offset tool. So if I click on this face here, just click and hold, okay, I can draw a triangle, and it's just copying that shape. We can draw it inside or outside. For the purpose of making a roof, I'm going to draw it outside like so. Next, I'm going to go in and try and add in some lines. So I'm just going back to my line tool here. I'm just going to click here and go to there. Can you see now my line is pink? When your line's pink, it's telling you that you're carrying on an existing line. So I want my roof for all of these 2 lines here and here to remain parallel all the way until the bottom. So it's pink there. If it's a different color, you can of course change it to any proportion you want, but I want mine to be parallel, so I'll keep it with the pink line. I'm going to click like so. Now I just need to go around to the other side, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing there. So just wait until the line's pink, click, there we go. Next, we just need to remove all of these extra lines. I don't want this line here, or this line, or this line. So we're just going to go to our eraser tool, and it will just snip out these little sections. So can we see how this is starting to feel a bit more like a roof now? I'm also going to take this line out and this line out because I don't need them, and I won't need them later on. And next we're going to go back to our push-pull tool. Remember, it's now underneath the offset tool. It's just there like so. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to push this all the way along, and I'm just going to snap to that edge so my roof is in line over there. What you will find when you use the push-pull tool quite a lot of the time is that you get these kind of hollow areas. They're really easy to fill in, so don't worry about it. And you may have found that actually happened the first time when you kind of extruded or used the push-pull tool to push the roof through. To fill it in, just use your line tool and click between 2 points. SketchUp does the rest for you. It knows that you're looking to fill it in. And I'm just going to go around to the back side and just check that the same has happened there. Because fundamentally what you're doing is you're pushing one surface all the way through. The other thing you might have noticed is that there's elements of your design that will be white and some elements that will be blue. Everything in the kind of basic setup of SketchUp, every surface we draw is either is white on one side and blue on the other. You can change all of the colours and materials later on, and we will look at that in a little bit more detail later. But if, like me, you're going, actually, I really want my building to all be a one uniform colour for the time being, if you just right click on the surface you want to change and go down to reverse faces there, okay, it's just swapped the faces round. So if you were inside this building, it will be blue on the inside. You click on this one, right click and reverse faces. So if you're wanting to keep your design nice and uniform, you can do that. Lastly, I'm just going to do it over here and click reverse faces. Next, I'm just going to go back to my eraser tool and just delete that little line out. Okay, I've still got that roof selected. Alternatively, you can click on things and just click on the backspace key on your keyboard if you find that easier. Next, I want this to feel a bit like a Scandinavian longhouse type design. So to make a large window on the kind of front and back of it, I'm going to go back to my offset tool and I'm just going to drag in a box something like so. I want to create a nice frame there. And then I'll go back to my push-pull tool and I'm just going to push that in a little way. In a little while, I'm going to be making this surface into glass. And I really like the idea of my building having these two large glass faces on the front and the back. I'm now going to do the front. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to go to my offset tool and I'm just going to create something like so. I'm going to go around to the back and just double check. That's about right. Maybe slightly thicker on this side, but I'm not too worried for the time being. I think that looks about right. And again, I'm going to use my push-pull tool over here to push that surface in. It's really nice with buildings to give your buildings a bit of texture when you've got things that are all at slightly different levels, so it doesn't just feel too flat and bland. Next, I want to start putting in some details. So I'm going to zoom in nice and close, and I think I might draw a door in. So again, I'm going to go to my rectangle tool. I'm going to click on this face here and draw a rectangle up. I'm using my person here as a bit of a guide. Let's say she's about 5.5 foot, average sort of height. I'm going to try and make my door feel a little bit bigger. Doors are usually about 7 foot or 2 meters in height. So I think something like that feels about right. As you can see, because I've recessed this face, it's going to feel quite difficult. It'd be quite difficult, be quite a step up to the door. So what I might do, and I think might look quite nice, is I might take a little section out of here. So again, I'm just coming to a slightly higher viewpoint, and you can see that I'm drawing on that face. And I'm just going to line this rectangle up really nicely with the door, like so. I'm going to go back to my push-pull tool and just push that all the way to the bottom until it disappears. So I've now got this really nice opening for the door. And I really like how that line wraps all the way around the house and it's just broken up for the doorway. The door still feels a little bit flat, so again we can go in and use our offset tool over here, and I might put a bit of a door frame around the outside. What you will note is put it all the way around that rectangle, so I've got these little bits at the bottom I don't want below the surface of the house. So this is where it's useful to come underneath your work surface and go around and delete them. Next, I might just use my push-pull tool again, and I'm just going to pull that door frame out ever so slightly. So it gives it a bit of texture and gives the door kind of a nice bit of framing. With SketchUp, it's brilliant. You can go in and draw even the smallest details. So I might decide, using my rectangle tool again, I might just try and draw a door handle. So I'm zoomed in really nice and close, and I might pull that out like so. That's a bit of a square, horrible door handle at the moment. So to give you an idea, I'm going to zoom in really close onto this. Okay, come round to the side here. And this is where I might now select a different shape. So instead of it being a too square door handle, I might select this circle there. And I'm just going to draw a circle on that face like so. Oops. I've now gone inside the building by mistake. So I'm just going to try and scroll to zoom out. There we go. And I'm just going to zoom back in here and go to my push-pull tool and pull that out like so. Okay, so I've now created a nice circle. All right, so you can design even the smallest little details in there. I think in reality my door handle's probably a little bit too far over to the center, but I won't bore you by making that adjustment now. Next, I thought it'd be good to have a little look at materials, and you'll find materials over in the right-hand side panel. So just over here, if you hover over it, it'll say materials. It's this square box like so. If you go over to search in this tab, you get this really amazing range of different materials that you can apply. My favorite ones to apply are the kind of glass and mirrors ones. So I might start with doing that. So I might select this blue glass texture, and just using my paint bucket tool, I can apply it to that surface. So you can now, glass is really clever because it allows you to see into your building. Okay. I might go around to the other side while I've got that glass texture selected, and I might add that in as well. Typically, when I make models of buildings and things, these are usually the only textures I use. Just adding glass. I think it looks really good. And it keeps the building quite neutral. But you can add a lot more textures too. If you want to add cladding or roof tiles, they're all in here for you to play with. So I might just go to roofing and give you a little example of that. Let's select this one. I can then apply that to the roof. So by all means, apply as many sort of textures as you want. That maybe looks a little bit strange on the front face. So I might there choose to actually put on the front face some wood, for example, which is just down here. Select a nice dark wood, something like that, and I can apply that in there instead. While I've got it selected, I'll do the other side. It's really important to try and keep things as uniform as possible. So I think with a design, try and limit yourself to 4 or 5 maximum different materials. And when you've got something like roofing, try and keep it as consistent as possible. I'll leave you to play with all of the different textures and things you can apply. Have a go at designing something like this today, and then if you want to, you can try using some of these skills to then make some different forms and objects. Over the coming days, I'm going to create some more videos that will give you a lot more skills and show you really further the power of SketchUp for modeling and generating different ideas. Okay, good luck, best of luck, and I'd love to see some of the things that you create. So if you've made something really good, by all means take a screenshot of it or a photograph and send me an email with it. I'd love to see what you get up to. All right, thank you very much. Good luck. Goodbye.